components you see in NextJS, by default they are server components. They are not client components. So if you call a use effect hook, which is a client what hook, it's a client hook, and you are defining it in a server component, so that's why it's throwing that error. So in order to force this component, the layout component, to become a client component, you have to scroll all the way to the top and then drop any other thing and make sure that's the first thing you are specifying at the top, and do a quote like this and say use client like this. You just put use client at the top, right? So automatically or manually you are forcing this component to switch from a server component to a client component. When you do this, we also have the use server, but again I'm telling you that the server use server is already a default declaration on every component you have in NextJS, so there's no need redefining that again, except when you are changing the component to client, then you can specify that. But you can also use you can put the use client server there. There's no need, but then when you put it there, it still works, okay, as a server component. So now when I save this and look at the page, let me refresh the page again and see what errors are we getting. So it says so it should load, it should refresh the page. Let's see. Well, I have done that. Make sure you save it, okay? I have saved that also, and so it's loading. Okay, so why is it failing? It says you are attempting to export. Oh, okay, so that is also one thing here. This metadata is for server components, okay? So if we are changing our component to be a client component, then it means that we can't use this metadata anymore here. But then instead of deleting it, we will comment it for now. We'll change the layout in a brief. But then select this metadata and comment it, okay? It is something that is required or it's used in the server components, not in the client component. So because we have forced this component to be a client component, this will no more be valid here. That's why it's throwing that error. So I'm just commenting that, and now our page should render nicely. When you refresh, it should render nicely, okay, just as you are seeing it here. Good. Also, there was a reason why we were doing this. We were trying to make sure enable JavaScript, so that when we click on the bars at the top, it will work. So now let's click on this. You can see now our menu bars can toggle, right, because of the JavaScript implementation we have provided. So our page can now open up and close the menus, but then immediately we get into the wider screen, that menu bar goes off, and then we can now have the individual menus on the page. So that is one thing. But then, the question is, what if we don't want to force that? And that, in fact, that is the main layout component. What if we don't want to make it a client component? We want to maintain its server component effects, okay? How then can we bring the JavaScript code in? So there is a workaround that we can do. So instead of commenting this, we'll rather take off the comment. So let's uncomment that. We'll maintain this and take off the comment by holding the hold the control key and click on the /, and then it will take off the comment. That's how you do comments. You hold the control key, you press the /. After you have selected, you press the control /. It will comment. The same thing when you press control / again, it will uncomment that block. Okay, so now we don't want to use this declaration here, okay? So we want to take it off. The use client, we want to take it off. So it means our code will no more work again. But then there's something we want to do here. We want to we'll move this one to a different component. So we'll create our custom component, right? So let's click here and go to the components section. In the components folder, we'll create a new file and call it integrate JavaScript, okay, .js. Integrate JavaScript.js. It's a long word. I don't want you to type it wrongly. It doesn't matter when you type it wrongly. All you have to do is to actually call it. Let me say use JavaScript.js. Let me just do it simple like that. Use JavaScript.js. Okay, it can be any name at all, but I'm choosing to do it that way. And then I'll do my RAFCE. So I have my RAFCE, and then let me delete this at the top. And also this, we don't need the div element, so I'll just do it like an empty fragment. Okay, this is an empty fragment without any element name inside. So I've just created a component, and then just created a boilerplate for this arrow function here. And then we'll go back to the layout and go cut the use effect, this one. You know, we imported the use effect also here, so let us cut the import and go and paste it. Or you can just simply delete that one and come in and import a new one when you put it here. So then I'll go and cut the use effect, everything here like this. You cut it, come here, and then before the return here, okay, you paste that before the return, in between the function like this, and then the import is at the top. But then if, assuming you did not import, you did not copy it here, you just have to do this: erase the T, type the T again, wait for it, and then you see it pops up. Then you click on it for it to auto import at the top, and then make sure you save this. Okay, you save the use JavaScript.js that you have created. That's all we need here. So we are putting a use effect, and we are also making sure that it is loaded only once. That's all we need. So the use effect hook is being used to import this JavaScript library. And because we are not going to put anything in the return, only using it to import, so we are not going to put anything here. That's why we are using the empty fragment, right? This is an empty fragment, which means there will be no element name there. Then now we have to, because we are exporting the default as use JavaScript, we'll come to the layouts page, and then before our component, this component loads, okay, in the body, you put it at the top of the navbar. So let's import the use JavaScript, because then you tab, make sure you tab to import it. Okay, this is it. It's as imported from the components folder. So because it's a component, you have to put it in the component, this section, okay, the return section. All it will do, it will not render anything on the page. It will only import the JavaScript library from the Bootstrap library we have installed, right? And that is all. So let's see if everything works. Now you can see that in the main layout, we are no more declaring the use client here anymore. So it means that this component, the layout component, is back to a server component. it's now become a server component because we don't have the declaration of use client there. So that is what we have done. We just want to maintain its state as a a server component, not a client component. So in order to do that, trick it to do that, that is what we have done. We went to create a component and rather imported there, and then we also have to, so look at this. It means that once we are doing this here, okay, we are using the use effect here, it will still be the same problem, right? You see, so it means that it is in this new component that we have to come to the top here and then do use client. Okay, so we do the use client on the new component that we have created, not on the layout. Then we have just imported this one, so that should solve the problem. And then you can also see that we can, because this layout remains as the server component, we still can be able to use the metadata, okay, for SEOs, search engine optimization. We'll talk about that. So this metadata is what helps it to also, we can customize it to enhance the search engine optimization, right? So that's why we need to maintain this here. And by doing this logic, at least we are able to get around it to maintain the server component functionality of this main layout. So let's go to the page again, and you can see it's rendered nicely. Let's see, yes, and this thing is working fine. Okay, so let this load, and then it's working fine. When I expand, it comes back to normal, it goes back. So without any hassle, we get that working fine.